To keep users up to date with everything that happens in a workspace, members can receive notifications on many of the actions that happen in the space. Even if a user is offline, they can be notified if they receive a reply to a discussion post or if they've been tagged or mentioned in a workspace. There are many notification settings for workspaces. Users can set up their own preferences to determine which notifications they receive and which notifications they mute. However, site administrators can determine the default notification settings for everyone. Site administrators can start setting up the notification defaults for all users by navigating to the default message output settings page. To do that, navigate to Plugins, Message Outputs, Default Message Outputs. On this page, a site administrator will see all the notifications that are sent out across the site, not only those specific to workspaces. At the top of the page, you can determine exactly where a notification is shown to users. The first two columns show notifications that appear on both the task block and the alert block, which could be added to a dashboard or a course page. Notifications will appear like this if they're set up on those blocks. As well as the task block and the alert block, site administrators can determine which notifications will be sent to the bell icon located at the top of the page. And finally by email, which will send a notification to users by email. Users are able to define their own preferences for their notifications from their profile. However, site administrators can decide which notifications users will be able to turn on or off from their profile. For example, a site administrator could uncheck the box Enabled for a setting, and then individual users would not be able to turn these notifications back on. The first notification setting is related to workspaces on this page, and will alert a user if they have had their membership request to a workspace accepted. For any of the settings, a site administrator can define whether an individual user in the system is permitted or allowed to change their own preferences in their notification settings, or whether this should be disallowed. If the notification was disallowed, this would prevent users from updating their personal preferences about the specific notification. If the setting was set to locked by a site administrator, then the notification will be delivered through the chosen output, and individuals will not be able to change their personal preferences for these notifications. Site administrators can also define the defaults for both the online and offline settings. If a notification is set only to online, it means a user will receive a notification only when they are logged into the system. However, if offline is selected, users will receive the notification even when they are not logged in. You could choose to send users notifications whilst they are both logged in and out of the system. A common combination could be to choose offline on emails. That way, users can receive an email notification about something occurring on the site, such as being accepted into the workspace even when they're not logged into the system. There are more settings available on this page connected to workspaces that a site administrator can set the defaults for, such as this one. We'll now review the main notifications for workspaces by seeing how this looks to users. To set up their own notification settings, a user needs to navigate to Preferences on their profile. They'll then need to select Notification Preferences. On this page, a user can determine all of their preferences for receiving notifications, dependent on what the site administrator has allowed them to customize. The user will need to navigate to Workspace, and then they can edit all of their workspace notification preferences here. If a user has created a private workspace, they can set up their notifications so that they receive an email whenever someone requests to join a private workspace. I'll select On for both offline and online, so that I always get an email whenever a user requests to join the private workspace that I've created. I'd also like to set up my notifications so I receive an alert on my notification icon whenever someone comments on a discussion post. So I'll select On for both offline and online on the web column too. Users can also set up their preferences to be notified when new items, such as resources and playlists, are added. If a user requests to join a workspace, then they can be notified when they've been accepted to a workspace. If a user is accepted to any workspace, then they can also be notified. And finally, if the workspace's ownership has been transferred, then the new workspace owner will be notified that they have been given ownership of a workspace. Users can also completely mute the notifications on a specific workspace if they don't feel they need to receive any notifications. To do this, a user just needs to navigate to a workspace, and then select the bell icon on the workspace to mute all notifications on the site. They'll just need to select the bell again to turn notifications back on. Users will also be able to see if anything new is happening in the workspace by reviewing the section Your Workspaces. If anything has happened in the workspace since the last time a user viewed it, then a red dot will appear next to the space. The red dot will disappear once the user has reviewed the workspace. So there's lots of different ways notifications can be set up to ensure everyone stays on top of what's happening in a workspace. In this video, we've reviewed how a site administrator can set up the notification settings for all users using workspaces, and how individuals can also set up their own workspace settings. Why not have a go at setting up your notification settings now, so that you'll never miss out on things happening in your workspace?